CAD software training. Hello everyone. Today we will start with small simple sketch exercises. So I will let you know each and every step how to do that. Then we will see about what is the relation browser. Finally we are going to see about animate dimension. Right. So let's move on to the topic. Let's start a new sketch here. So I'm going for insert sketch in task environment. As usual, I'm selecting this front plane. I'm creating it. Okay, right. So now I'm going for creating a profile. So before I go there, I need to turn off my continuous auto dimension. I'm turning off it. Okay, I have done that. Suppose we are going to create some model with reference to some center axis means, then it would be better if you create a center line also along with that. So now I have created one line here. I am converting this into reference. Okay, right. Now this requires sketch needs one constraint objects. Then we'll go for constraining one by one. Okay, right. Now I am going for this circle. I am going to create a smaller circle. Okay, right. Now I am going for one line. I'm going to take a tangential profile. So I'm whatever the snap points, whatever I want, only I'm going to select it here. So here I'm going to select on point on go option, selecting this, and I'm selecting this. So that will take only the tangential profile. So between this circle and this circle, I created a tangent. Now I do not want this extra lines, so that I'm going to trim off it. Go for quick trim and then trim it. Okay, like this you can trim off this. Okay, now I got the basic profile what I want. Now internally I need two small circles, so I'm going to create two small circles with reference to this lines end point, so that I'm selecting this end point. Okay, right. So till now I didn't give any dimensions, please remember that. Okay, I did only the geometrical constraint now, everything. So here it is connected with the tangent, 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 and I have created one line with reference to that I created two circles. Now you see, you click on this geometrical constraint, you will come to know what are all the constraints are present here, what are all the constraints are yet to control. Okay, here you can see this line, sketch needs 5 constraints like it says, and which are all the objects yet to be constrained. How you can identify is, just click on this geometrical constraint, whichever is in the green color. You can see here it is in the green color. This green color line not yet constrained till now, and the rest of the objects are got fully constrained. That means the color itself says that it is fully constrained. And here you can see one more option, one more way you can able to identify. There is one small anchor point is coming here. That means this anchor point says that it is not fully constrained. Okay, so that means see here, this line can tend to move like this. Okay, this object can tend to move like this. So this is why it is having a geometrical constraint free to move. So now what I want is, actually if I give my diametrical dimensions and radial dimensions for these circular profiles, then everything will get adjusted automatically. Okay, let us see about that. I will do undo now. Okay, this is my basic requirement of my profile which I created now. Let's move on to the dimensional constraint now. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to define my this line's length. On this center point to this center point, I wanted to define the line's length. So what I'm going to do, I'm going for linear dimension as usual. Even though it is a single line, I'm going to take a linear dimension, in which horizontal I'm going to take it. This line's end point I'm selecting. Don't select it, switch off everything, whichever you want you select it. Okay, so like this you can select it and you can provide this dimension. So now it is coming with a reference dimension. Since it's a reference line, it comes with a reference dimension. Convert this into active. Like make a right click and convert it into active. Okay, right. Right, now this is done. Now you can see it requires 4 constraints. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to give a radial dimension now. For this I'm going to give a radial dimension. For this as well I'm going to give a radial dimension. These two are given now. Now it requires 2 constraints, that is the circle diameter and the circle diameter. If I provide it, then it will get adjusted fully. So you can go for a diametrical constraint now. So I can select this, give the diameter, select this, give the diameter. That's it. So until now I didn't change any dimensions, only the geometrical constraint I did it and the dimensional constraints I given it. Now only I am going to change whatever the dimensions I wanted to update. Okay, for example, so first I am going with a linear dimension. Click on this dimension. I'm going to change this into 150. Okay, right. So now I'm going to change this dimension into 200. Okay, so now I am going to, so this gives conflict dimension. Here you can see what is the error. It is conflicting constraints, means the dimension whatever I provided over here and over here, that is not in line to the requirement of this dimension. Suppose I am making this as a reference, means then it will become fully constrained, but at the same time here you can see this object, this dimension is not in line to our requirement. That's why it says conflicting constraints. In such a cases, either any one of the dimension only can be used. Okay, in such a cases what you can do, I am going to reduce this radius. I'm going to change this as 100. I am going to change this as 200. Okay, like this it has come. Now between the length, what I want is I wanted to have 300 mm. Okay, like this you can change it. Now I'm going to see, now this is the dimensions whatever you are about to change, you change it accordingly, it will get updated. But at the same time you no need to update the position of the dimension, because don't do that, it's a huge rework will happen again and again. So that don't do that. I will tell you how to do that. Okay, here you can see the sketch is fully constrained. This is the dimensions which I wanted to obtain it. Now I obtain all the dimensions. Okay, that's it, our sketch is fully constrained now. So this is how you have to constrain each and every sketches. Okay, let's see about some best practices of the sketch creation. So now we have created the sketch. After creating the sketch, we have to keep the dimensions in the respective places, and the alignment is very important. Suppose someone else checking your file, means when it is opening, it should be in such a manner that the dimension should be in the readable manner, like this. Okay, suppose when you zoom this file, or else when you zoom out this file, the text size keep changing, correct? So this text size certainly it will change, because it is based on the view zoom scale factor. The text size will automatically change. It will not change any size, but based on your respective view scale, these text dimensions are getting modified. Okay, this is how this will act when you are zooming in and zooming out. See, now for example, whenever you are aligning any sketch dimensions, make sure that you are in the fit condition. Okay, make a right click. Once you've done all these dimensions, make a right click, go for fit condition. In the fit condition, you just place all these dimensions in the respective places, so that you can, whenever you open this file and checking, that time it will be in the respective places as it is, like this. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to come out of the sketch. Just see now what's happening. Now I'm going for trimetric view. Okay, now I wanted to go into the sketch, means just double click on this sketch, so it will get into the sketch. Now it is in the respective places. Suppose I'm zooming in, zooming out, the text sizes will keep changing. Suppose sometimes some of the customer preference may be the text size should not change when they are zooming in and zooming out. It may be like that also. I wanted to keep this text type, text size in the same size whatever I have in the fit condition, means that time what you can do, suppose I do not want to change this text size, means even while I'm zooming in and zooming out also, means what you can do, select this sketch, make a right click, go for sketch option. Okay, sketch settings option. Okay, select the sketch, go for this settings option. Here you can see fixed text height on screen. That means the text height, if you disable this button, the text height will be in the permanently, it will be in the same size. Whenever, even if you zoom in and zoom out also, the sketch text size will remain in the same size. See, now I turned off that button, so even though I zooming in and zooming out, the text size not changing, only the view scale factor is getting changed. This is how it will act. So it is based on the customer requirement. we can go for it. The best practice that if you do this one, so naturally the dimension can be readable at any point of time. Even if you zoom in and zoom out also, the sketch will remain in the same place, one thing, and the text can be readable at any point of time. Suppose if you are not doing this step, this fixed text, right, you are not disabling it, means then the text size will keep changing and the location of the dimension also will keep changing. See, now I will revert it back to earlier status. Now I'm going for settings. I'm turning on this as per default condition. Now I'm zooming in. See, now this is how it will come. It will overlap one on another like this also, it may happen. Okay, so to avoid this only, what we are telling, once you keep this sketch in the fit condition, you just align all these dimensions and then go for settings button, then turn off this button. Okay, so that the text height according to our view scale factor, it will fix. Even if you zoom in, zoom out, the position will not get changed, and as well as the dimension will remain in the same place. So this is one of the best practice you can follow anymore if you are not following. Okay, let's say about relation browser now. So to make you understand what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one simple and one more line I'm creating from this endpoint. That means, see, this line is horizontal, this line is vertical now. Okay, here there is a coincident constraint is present. That is what we can understand from these two lines. Okay, now what is about relation browser means, relation browser will give you the detail about the constraints whatever we have in our sketch. Okay, for example, this is the relation browser window. You can go from here, relation browser. Okay, over here, so this window will open. So object to browse, that means here there are multiple options are there. All in active sketches means what are all the curves you have created within this sketch window, all the constraints relevant to that, it will show one by one. Okay, for example, here we have created already one sketch, this relevant to this arc, relevant to this arc, what are all the constraints are present, and relevant to this line, what are all the constraints are present, everything will be given one by one. You can see here for this line number 9, for this center line, what are all the constraints are provided here, you can see very clearly. Okay, these are all the constraints are relevant to this particular line. Suppose you wanted to go for another one line, means suppose I'm going for this arc, means for this arc what are all the relevant constraints are there, that you can see now. Coincident constraint is there, here you can see tangential coincident constraint is there, here you can see one more coincident constraint is there. So like this you can see. Okay, and other than that, a dimensional constraint is also there, and the tangential constraint is also there. Okay, so this is how it is giving a detail. Let's move on one by one. Now this is about all in active sketches. Suppose I wanted to see one single object constraints, means here it is giving as a list, complete list from complete all the sketches curves it is showing. I wanted to go for only one single curve. What is the constraint it present, means I wanted to check, means go for single object, select this line, it will show you for this line what are the constraints are present. You can see here by this symbol itself there is a horizontal constraint is there, that is what this. Then coincident constraint is there. Coincident constraint means this line number 12, this is the line number 12, this is the line number 13. Okay, you can see now. So this is the line number 12, the line which is highlighted, this is the line number 13, this is an one which has got highlighted now. So this is how it has given. Now it is showing a partially constrained. Why it is showing a partially constrained, means because of this line is not yet controlled with some dimensions, that is why it is showing a partially constrained. Suppose it is fully constrained, means how it will look like, means it will be a full dark circle, you will get it. Okay, so this is how the object configure that constraints we can able to come to know. Right, now we are selecting only the curves actually. Okay, just remember that. Now I am going for multiple objects. Suppose I am going to select multiple object, means when I select a single curve, only about the single curve I have got the detail. Now I am going to select this line as well as this line. Whatever the lines I have, whatever objects I am interested, I will select it. Now this circle I am selecting. So for everything it will show you the result. See here. So now we can see There are three objects are selected here. One is this horizontal line, one is this vertical line, one is this circle. So for all these three, it will show you the detail. Only this circle is fully constrained. That is why it is showing as a full dark circle. Okay, and even the circle also it is considered as a arc only here. Don't worry about that. Okay, that is the way it is configured. So here you can see for what are all for this circle, what are the constraints are present. You can see from here, coincident constraint is present between arc 9 and line 9. Line 9 means nothing. This reference line what we have created with reference to that line's endpoint, it has considered. See now, I am selecting. This is the line number 9. You can see now it is highlighted. Arc number 9. This is the arc which has got selected. Between these two, this coincident constraint is present. Suppose I wanted to go for this diameter dimension. This is the diameter dimension what I have provided it. Okay, if you do not want it, you can delete it from here also. Okay, right. I do not want to delete, so that I am leaving it as it is. Similarly, I wanted to go for this vertical line, means this is the vertical line. 13 is the vertical line. I wanted to go for it. So coincident constraint is present. You can see here it has got highlighted. Vertical constraint is there. That is why this has got highlighted here. Okay, between these two, which line is connected? This line is connected. Okay, this is how this relation browser will work. Suppose I do not want to constrain this line vertically, means I wanted to remove this vertical constraint, means what you can do, go for this line 13, remove this vertical constraint, select this and delete it, so that this vertical constraint will get rid of. Now you can move this line at any angle. Okay, this relation browser will let you know the history of what are the constraints it has. Suppose you wanted to remove some constraint also, you can remove it. Suppose you wanted to do additional constraint, means you have to go for this geometrical constraints. Okay, so this geometrical constraints you can go for it. Suppose you wanted to remove it, then you go for relation browser. Suppose I have this line is in the horizontal manner, I cannot move to any other angle. Suppose I wanted to remove this horizontal constraint, means what you can do, you can go for relation browser. Go for relation browser, select this line. For a single object I wanted to remove it. For this line only I wanted to go for it, so that I am selecting this single object, select this one. So relevant to this constraint only it will show. I do not want to remove this coincident constraint. I wanted to remove only this horizontal constraint, so that I am selecting it. If you don't want, you just delete it, so this constraint will get rid of. Now we have a constraint only for this coincident, not for the horizontal. Okay, now you can able to move this line to any angle. This is how you can remove the constraint. So this is how this relation browser also works. The relation browser will give you the complete history about the complete all active sketches. See here now, I will delete these lines, these extra lines whatever I created, I will delete it. I will delete these two lines. Okay, I have deleted it. This is the only sketch it is present. It is fully constrained also. Now I'm going for relation browser. Which are all the constraints given where I wanted to check, means I can go for it. Arc number 6. This is the arc number 6. I wanted to check it, means coincident constraint with reference to this center. This has got selected. Here you can see the detail also. The center point is selected with the 0.7, and the arc it is created with reference to this sketch origin. And here you can see coincident point is given here to this corner. So here it is given with the coincident constraint like this. Then radius dimension is there, and two tangential constraints are there. One is this one, you can see here. Okay, like this. Suppose I wanted to go for the other one, means this also the same coincident constraint between this line and this arc center. Here also one coincident constraint is there. You can enlarge this screen also, no problem. So here also coincident constraint is there. One radial dimension is there. So tangential constraint, two tangential constraints are there. This is how you can come to know what are all the constraints are done in this particular sketch. You can come to know. Sometimes people will give some unnecessary constraints also, means if it is given, means it will show you conflict dimension, conflict constraints, even though sometimes it may not show. For example, I will show you one case. See here, I am going to create some additional lines here. I am creating this line horizontally, it has got created. Vertically I am creating this. Other than that, I am giving one perpendicularity dimension for this existing between these two lines, means you see now what's happening. I am going for geometric constraint. I am going for perpendicularity. Okay, perpendicularity. So this line must be perpendicular to this, I am telling. Okay, now it is horizontal and vertical only available. There is no perpendicularity dimension in this region. Only coincident constraint is there. Now I am going for perpendicularity. I am selecting this line and I am going to select this line. Even now also it is not showing any issues. It is showing it has accepted the perpendicularity dimension. If we give multiple geometrical constraints for the 2 or 3 geometries, then it can be identified only through relation browser. Okay, hope you understand. Let's see about animate dimension. This animate dimension lets you to understand that how much the profile can be modified with reference to the existing dimensions control. Okay, let's see about that. So now you can go into sketch. So animate dimension you can go. So now which dimension you wanted to control, you can select it. Now suppose I wanted to control this length, means now I have given 300. The original dimension is 300 mm. I wanted to control between, suppose it is whether it is acceptable for this radius between these two radiuses between 250 to 350, means whether it is acceptable or not. If I want to check it, I can check it. So what we can do, we can give it is lower limit is 250 and upper limit is 350. I wanted to check that whether it can be able to constrain fully, and as well as whether it can be, what would be the shape when it goes to extreme and extreme size and least size. Okay, right, let us see now. Now you can give apply. You first you set these two, lower limit and upper limit, and then give apply. You can see now the dimension, it moves from 250 to 350. In between that range, this animation will happen. Now we can understand that whether it can be able to adaptable after manufacturing or not, or else during or else in the concept wise, whether what would be the impact if it is 250, what would be the impact when it is 350, like we can understand more clearly. This is why this animate dimension is helpful. Okay, it's only a controlling of dimension what we want actually. Suppose you wanted to stop this animation, you can go for stop button, give stop, it will get stopped here. Okay, similarly you can try for even other dimensions also. Okay, now I am going to stop again. Okay, this is what animate dimension. Please practice more, and some people are questioning still in the emails even after several times request. Please post your queries in the YouTube video itself. Okay, please comment on the video itself. Right, and one more thing, one kind request, please watch the video from start to end, because of some of the people skipping the video and they are asking the questions because of this video tutorial I am preparing based on my experience. A lot of details I am providing based on my experience. When you are using these options, what would be the impact, why you should use, where and all you can use, where you should not use, what would be the impact of the use if you use in a wrong way. These are all the details I'm providing. Some of the people are skipping the videos and they are watching, it seems, but please watch the video completely so that you will get a very clear idea about the tool, so that you won't end up with any issues. One thing, and another one is, since you are skipping the videos, some people they are asking the questions on the skipped area only. Okay, please watch the video completely. Okay, right, thank you very much. Hope you understand today's session. If you are not subscribed till now, please subscribe to the channel and keep following me. So let's see in the next class. Thank you.